This one is the one that if I saw this live, you will have to forgive me because I probably will not be able to continue with the introductions.
We're just so tired of going to weddings and seeing the same old thing happening.
I'm telling you, if you don't do that,
You've lost.
You fail.
Oh, I wanna dive in. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jonathan Divine, how is Texas?
It sounded like my mother just now.
Yeah, government name. We're using
Texas,
government names
man.
here.
No, Texas was awesome. So, got to give a shout out to my buddy Kenny and his beautiful wife Courtney. They just got married.
Kenny and Coco.
Yes, Kenny and Coco. They got
Learned all
married
about these people.
in Cleburne, Texas. Kenny's actually located in Frisco, Texas, which is like north of Dallas. My wife and I flew out Saturday morning because I had to perform Friday night. And the important thing was I was there on time. It was a little chaotic for some guests. As you know, out here in New York, New Jersey, we had rolling thunderstorms coming in from, I think, that hurricane. And luckily, a vast majority of Kenny's guests that were coming in from New York made the wedding.
Got it.
When I went to Texas, I realized how differently they do weddings as opposed to like what we do here, like in the New York, New Jersey area.
How so?
There was a lot, man. The first thing really was the structure of the night, because how we typically do things, as you know, is kind of like we split up the monotony of just keeping people seated.
Correct.
Over there, it's more of a structure of like, okay, get dinner, speeches, private dances, all the formalities that need to happen. They get all that done first, and then they kind of let the last 2 hours of the event go into a party.
Okay.
And I will tell you this. His wedding was absolutely dope. I liked how they did the structure this time around because there was one major thing that they did differently that I think a lot of places in New York and New Jersey don't do if they did it this way, or even like Pennsylvania. They did a family-style food spread. So it wasn't a buffet, and it wasn't a...
plated. It wasn't plated.
It wasn't
seating.
plated.
It was what? It was just food coming out?
Yeah, so they did family-style plates. So they had an array of different foods all come out at once, and it was just shared on long tables. And it worked so well because people didn't have to wait. Right? I think that the difference is if it was a sit-down or if you had multiple courses, it would have been painful.
Right, because you would have been like antsy. Like, we got to start moving.
Well,
right?
you know how it is. If we sit people too long, they kind of get rooted in their seats.
Or they're moving around and they're like, they can't sit still.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we need to do something.
And I think that's even worse, especially if you're trying to get formalities out of the way.
Of course.
Because if you got people moving around and they're
bar,
getting antsy, and they're going to the bar, or they're like eating and they're clanking their silverware, a lot of the things that are supposed to be done up front are almost distracting to the meal, or vice versa. And that's not really fair to the people who are actually participating in said ceremony.
Correct.
So to me, the family style was actually brilliant because when all the food came out, everybody kind of like bum rushed the food. So it was like share, go. And if you're anything like Italian, like we are, you know that that's like a big staple for a wedding is the food. It's actually one of the most talked about things at a wedding. But
correct.
I will say the wedding itself was so much fun because I actually got to be a guest for the first time.
Ooh.
And when you're a guest, especially when it's like a friend of yours, you like really get to let loose as opposed to like working like we do. We're kind of like always looking at the back end of like what's late,
you're not focused on the fun. I mean, you are focused on the fun. That's your freaking job, but you're not focused on like, oh, we're just chilling right now. We're having a good time. Like there's no pressure. Like there obviously is pressure when you're working. So when you're actually a guest, you appreciate it a lot.
I think it's kind of what you said. It's more of like, I got to appreciate the fun as opposed to creating the fun.
Yeah.
And it was so backstory of Kenny is that him and I were like inseparable between 7th and 8th grade. He moved to Texas right before high school. So I hadn't seen his sister in almost 15 years. I haven't seen his mom in around the same time, his dad around the same time. Kenny and I have kept in touch and he has flown back to New York quite a bit. But it was more or less like, dude, I was more family than I was, I think, a friendship, or at least it felt that way.
Right.
And kudos to the Scumos and Courtney and her amazing family. I mean, that wedding was off the hook. Also got a shout out to the people that I got to meet out there. Taylor, Teresa, Bill, so many people. I mean, just going through it, like we actually left there making friends, which was really cool.
So you had fun. You were a guest. Did you DJ?
I did.
I knew the answer already. I just wanted to leave him. He couldn't help it. No, I'm just kidding. He was.
So
tell us what happened.
I also got a shout out to Dom Nigella, who's actually part of the Force DJs out in Dallas, Texas. So Dom is. I encourage you guys to look him up. He's on TikTok, Instagram. Dom Nigella, dude's an awesome guy. Not only is he a great DJ, but he is like top tier human being. And Kenny obviously knew what I do for a living, right. And he also confided in me and saying like, listen, Dom's great. I've seen him live, but it's also one of those things like, if you're from Dallas or if you're from anywhere else other than your hometown, that person performing is not going to understand the culture that is of a different state or a different area.
Correct. Because at this wedding, there were a lot of New Yorkers, right?
Okay. Yeah, there's tons. Staten Islanders, Brooklyners, Brooklynites, whatever you want to call them. New Jersey, I think, I'm not entirely sure the number, but I think Kenny had like 90 people.
Got it. Okay, so it was in Texas, but it wasn't totally a Dallas crowd, totally a Texas
No,
crowd.
It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't even close to just that. Matter of fact, it was like one of those things where I wanted to make sure that when I went down there, I was going to be able to help in any way possible. Because one cool thing about this whole experience, one cool thing I got from this entire experience was like you got to see how differently things are done there. And I know I kind of mentioned that earlier, but it was more just about if I'm from New York and I go to a Pennsylvania wedding, or if I go to a Texas wedding, or if I go to a California wedding, there is significant differences in the expectations for a wedding. And to me, when you are flying out of state, it's important to understand that your entertainment and your vendors should really know what you want to expect versus what is normal out there, because it is two entirely different things. Like you've probably been to weddings like this, or even
California
parties.
did the same thing. So shout out to Morgan and Izzy Widensmith, who got married in Sisters, Oregon. Morgan is my fraternity brother, and it's actually their anniversary. I don't know if it's today, but they're away in Mexico. 1 year since their wedding that we went to. So
awesome.
Congratulations, happy 1 year to Morgan and Izzy Widensmith. So I went last year to the wedding in Oregon, and it was all formalities were front loaded. Yeah. And cocktail hour was also about like an hour and 45 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, this is long. And then I'm like, okay, like when is what's going to happen now? And then for about an hour and a half, there were formalities. There was also food coming instantaneously, so it wasn't like people were just waiting and bored. And then for like 3 hours, we just got to party. And at first, I was like, uh-oh, this isn't like, from my own experience being in New York, this isn't going to be good. I'm used to like watching 200 km sprints, like in terms of dance sets, like really short 30, 45 minute dance sets, and then sitting people back down for formalities. They put everything in the beginning, and then it was the party. So I'm like, all right, let's see. It's probably going to die out after like an hour. No, this crowd wouldn't stop. They were marathon dancers.
Well, we talked about this in the last podcast, that people celebrate differently. Those areas you celebrate differently, the expectations are different.
They know what to do.
Right. So them, it's like, okay, if we have to long last a dance set or continuously long last the entire reception, like they're kind of mentally prepared to do so. Yeah. Like people don't underestimate how much your guests actually know about what they're going to be doing at your wedding. Like I think that's another misconception, that people just don't know anything when they attend. Right. So unless you're like super young as your first wedding ever, don't ever assume that your guests don't know what they're doing. They're to some extent familiar with the expectations of a wedding or a private event. Where I think people get confused is like they try to reinvent the wheel, and they're like, well, I don't want this because it's at every wedding. Sometimes you got to have that.
It works. There's a reason why there's a certain structure to a wedding, right?
Right, and that's another thing I want to talk about is actually planning your structure to get the best outcome for specifically your reception.
By the way, two things. One thing, 200 meters, not 200 kilometers. The second thing, big decorum difference. Because I said 200 kilometers. Last episode, I said decorum. Sorry, Aldo. It's decor.
He got He went.
I got ripped for that one.
Yeah, it's decor.
Okay, continue.
Well, let me ask you a question. What would you rather have in regards to performing a wedding? Do you think you'd rather like get people up and down, kind of give them those peaks and valleys, or do you rather have kind of like what I was talking about, where they do formalities out of the way first half of the party and then cover dancing for the rest of the night?
I personally cannot stand an event and I'm always surprised because I guess, I'm always bringing the energy and I'm facilitating the fun and making sure people are having a good time. And sometimes I underestimate, how long people can dance and enjoy themselves. But when I see an hour and a half dance set, I get nervous. Not nervous like, I don't want there to be too much, too long. I don't want it to be empty at a certain point. I feel like people are going to burn out, especially where we are. They might, if the music's, again, granted, if the music's not adequate, of course, right? Then of course they're going to step out. But if you can't sustain them for an hour and a half, you'll lose them during that time. So I like 30, 45-minute dance sets. Stop them, do speeches, or do a parent dance, or do cake, or do main course, or something like that.
Well, I want to compare it to something like a bar.
Okay.
Or a nightclub, or some other place where you're going to attend. Because I think when people think about their wedding reception, they think of what to expect from a night out.
Yep.
All right. So if you're going to be a bar person, bars don't have you rocking out as soon as you walk through the door. One of the first things you do when you go to a bar is go to the bar, right? Order a drink. Receptions, the way they're different is that there's a little bit of that welcoming hour, assuming that you have a cocktail hour going into it. You have a welcoming hour, so people are like, okay, I want to get into this, because by the time they get into the reception, they're almost 2 hours in already. So when they're like, we're ready to party, now you're like, well, are you going to keep people seated for that long? Like, are you going to make them 3.5 hours of really not doing energetic things?
Yeah.
Or are you going to allow them to get sauced, meaning like they're just going to keep drinking, and you're banking on that being the energy filler for your guests?
Yep.
And I think that is something to be said for a lot of guys who are not from the New York, New Jersey area. It's not what it's like out here. It's very, very different. And I think a majority of people around the country do it the other way. And they see different results. And I think that certain DJs prefer that because they feel like 2 hours straight gives them the ability to feel out a crowd.
To feel out a crowd. Very interesting perspective. I'd never seen it the way. I see it as, we got to sustain them for 2 hours straight.
It's tough, man.
It's a little. Now, for a wedding, I feel it's like, if it's like a sweet 16 or a mitzvah, I think there are ways to fill in those 2 hour gaps. But with a wedding, you're really banking on, of course, your energy and the music that's playing, but you're also banking that the crowd will really play out for those 2 hours. Because you promised the client, the bride and groom, that right. Hey, we're gonna have an amazing time for those 2 hours straight. And that in their mind, they expect that. So when they see a lull, they might start to get nervous.
I think a lot of people have the expectation that the DJ or the entertainment or the vendors or whoever's working your event has full control of your guests.
Yeah.
That's not always true. Mm-hmm. Because your guests are going to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's thirsty, they're going to go to the bar. If
and they're adults.
If they want to eat, they're going to go to the buffet or they're going to get food. If they are smokers and they want to have a cigarette, they're going to go outside.
And if there's a balcony outside,
please.
Go please.
So let's get this out of the way. If you have a balcony and you're getting married in the spring, fall, or even the early parts of summer, be prepared that about half of your guests are going to end up being outside.
Especially if you have a cigar bar.
Well, okay. I
love cigar bars. I'm not saying I don't, but I'm just saying they're gonna love that, and you will lose them to.
Well, I'm also going to tell you that cigar bars can be incredibly beneficial if you have cigar smokers. You have to be incredibly particular on what you want to happen with your venue.
Sure.
When you choose your venue, you have to be like, okay, it's going to be summer. It's going to be hot. We anticipate people staying inside. Why? Because if it's 97 degrees, even if it's 85 degrees at night, people are wearing suits and gowns and, quite frankly, clothing that's going to be very uncomfortable in heat.
Yep.
So they're going to want to stay cool. That's why I don't recommend outdoor weddings in the summer because people are uncomfortable. They're not going to enjoy themselves as much.
If someone were to, what would you recommend that to, if they're going to absolutely have to have is a strong word, an outdoor wedding in a tent, what do you recommend that they have installed or part of their wedding to have a successful outdoor wedding event and avoiding those, nightmares of people getting too hot?
There are three. Okay, so actually we have to talk about this too because this actually happened to one of our clients very recently. If you're throwing an outdoor event in the summer, number one is Mother Nature. You cannot think that rain is not going to show up just because you look at the forecast every day.
Yep.
Doesn't work like that. If you are doing an outdoor event, you must get a tent.
No negotiations.
Yeah, if you're doing... Okay, so quick story. And they're going to remain nameless. Last year, Aldo and I did a wedding in Florida, and we were working with event planners that were taking care of New York clients who were doing a destination event down in Florida.
Okay.
So these event planners are from the Florida area.
Got it.
Our clients are from New York like we are. So they were going to fly us down and do the event. This was a fully outdoor venue. Fully outdoor venue. Okay. It was basically on an acreage of land where they're like, okay, let's transform this 5-acre land into a beautiful outdoor venue. Fountains, lakes. It was honestly a really, really beautiful venue. But we kept telling them, what is the contingency plan for rain or high gusts or anything that could possibly ruin the day? Well, the event planners are like, well, we have up to 48 hours to make the decision to get a tent. They were fighting us tooth and nail. We don't want a tent because it's going to ruin the decor of the outdoor area. And we're like, we get it, but what if? What if? And then you're like, oh, we're monitoring the weather the whole way. And I'm like, yeah, but it's Florida. Right. Florida, it could be sunny for 5 minutes and then monsoon for an hour. And there's no warning. It just comes through. Mm-hmm. So sure's all hell. Middle of their ceremony, which they did cocktail hour, followed by the ceremony, followed by the reception. Okay.
So
after the ceremony, we were going right into the reception. The guests were going to move outside towards the reception area. Aldo comes up to me at literally halfway through the ceremony. They're about to take their vows, release birds, the whole spiel. And he goes, just got word the event planner told me there's a storm rolling through. And I go, great. I was like, all right, so what are we looking at? He goes, should be happening around 4:45. I was like, all right, does it look quick? According to the radar. I was like, all right, cool. No rain at 4:45. Ceremony goes out without a hitch. They start moving over to the reception area. We bring my laptop over there in order for me to start playing music. The reception began at 5 o'clock. At 5:04, I felt raindrops. And I saw raindrops on my laptop mousepad. 5:07, I had to close my laptop and wait it out. Everybody knew that we were going to try to wait for the
rain to pass.
Mm-hmm. This was the worst part. Where we were located on the property, there was no coverage at all. When I mean no coverage, I mean there was nowhere indoors for them to run. There was no overpasses. There was no canopies, nothing. Everything was designed to be fully outdoors. When I tell you, Patrick, a monsoon came down, it was literally out of the movie Twister. I have never seen rain come down that hard so quickly because it was very humid, it was very warm,
Florida.
And then the rain came down. We also did not have our rental company provide outdoor equipment due to the fact that this was information that was given to us last second. There was nothing we could do. Torrential downpour for about, I want to say 30 minutes. Then it died out. We kept looking at the program because we were like, listen, we cannot put things back up if it's going to come down again.
Yeah.
15 minutes later.
More.
But it wasn't heavy. It was consistent.
It was
light rain.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter because,
it's raining.
I don't know if you know this, but electronics and
I know this.
Electronics and rain don't do well.
I know this. Evolves and I know this.
Moving on. Aldo and I stayed in the pouring rain with the guests, getting soaked with no coverage for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours.
Damn.
So when I tell you you're doing an outdoor wedding or an outdoor party, you must get a tent. Otherwise, you're going to throw whatever amount of money that you're throwing at this party down the drain.
Yeah.
It's incredibly irresponsible for you to say, oh, I don't feel like paying $3,000 for this tent
because it messes with the decor.
Because it's ugly. I'm like, dude, you're about to lose everything.
Which is interesting because, like, I'll see on Instagram, like, beautiful tents. Like, outdoor weddings with gorgeous decor. It may have not worked with the decor they were using, but I've seen amazing Instagram footage of people having weddings on a beautiful farm with a tent and the beautiful cut. Like, it looks awesome.
You can do a lot to a tent. You can do bistro lighting. You can do up lighting. You can do decorating the roof. Like, there's so much you could do with a tent if done correctly. But at least a tent will prevent your guests from getting completely drenched. It might not save the wedding. It might not save the entirety of the event, but it's going to keep people cooler because on average, I think it's like 12 degrees of a difference when you have shade over a hot summer day. And also you have other prerequisites and safety measures to stop you from completely saying, oh, there goes everything I paid for that I can't do anything with afterwards. Like, it's a huge mistake. If you don't get a tent when you're doing something outside, you are literally risking all of your investment getting burned out.
So I have an observation, something I've been observing. I would love to get an event planner here on the podcast to kind of hear it from them or hear from multiple event planners. I find, and this is also from entertainers, I'm not as much focused on the decor aspect at all. I really don't consider it when I'm talking to my couples about the wedding. Decor is huge. I believe it's important. It really, like, it covers another sense, right? We have like 5 senses. It covers one of those, right? The sight, sometimes even the smell. I think that's it
does.
Louis Avanti, of event planner, talks about the smell too, like scent. Anyway, I find that sometimes event planners are solely focused or truly focused on the decor, and sometimes neglect to consider the actual entertainment or the party, not the entertainment, sorry, but the party itself. Does that make sense? Am I making...
It does.
To an extent?
I could probably give you their answer.
Yeah.
It's because the entertainment is the one thing they have hands off. Like, once music starts, they're
good
not,
to go.
They're not responsible for that. That's where
it's in our hands.
Correct. What they're responsible for is juggling all the other vendors around that entertainment portion.
Yeah.
So if they're responsible for making sure all the vendors are there on time, setting it properly, timing it out, the officiant, the walk downs, the bride and groom, the finances, the kitchen, everything in between, well, they can't determine what a DJ is doing.
Yeah.
Or a band is doing. They can't do it. It's not technically in their control. They could give us time frames of when we start and finish.
Well, that's something else I want to say too. And I think also because people say, who makes the timeline? Well, of course, the event planner creates the timeline for all the vendors to check out. But I was listening to a podcast, and it's the Vendor Table Pod. They're awesome. Lauren and Brian?
Yeah, I think so.
Shout out to them. They talk about who makes the timeline. Well, I think we all do. To a certain extent, we all contribute to it, but sometimes I'll see timelines. I'm like, this was not created from an entertainment standpoint, or at least there's no voice from the entertainer coming into this timeline. And it's important to get that, to get your word in as a DJ or as an MC or as an entertainer, musician, to, offer some advice or offer a suggestion or recommendation on how to better improve the flow of the event. Because I find when I look at timelines sent to me, I'm like, ooh, there's not really room for me to work here with this.
That's usually because majority of the entertainers they work with are a one-skill entertainer.
Mm-hmm. Meaning?
A great DJ knows how to DJ great.
Right.
Right. And out of this world DJ, who are usually priced at a much higher price tag, can literally run an event on their own.
Mm-hmm.
From start to finish.
Right.
From the planning, the preparations, the execution of the day, they could do all of it. Like, I can't stress enough that I think our industry has been so bombarded with new hires or people with...
I mean, entertainers, the entertainment industry, not the other vendors. Okay.
I think that most entertainers that are getting in there, because like we talked about in previous podcasts, is the barrier to entry is so low that these guys learn one skill, take that skill and actually make it profitable. They monetize it, but they never learn how to properly run an event through the eyes of another entertainment company, event planner company, and everything else. And I think that also makes it difficult for a lot of photographers and other vendors. And event planners and even venues.
Yeah.
Because these guys are like, my only worry is dancing.
Yeah.
Or my only worry is to get this done.
Right.
And everybody else is like, well, if you're going to think that way and you're only one skill, then you are going to be my last resort of getting anything else done. Because this vendor needs this much time. This vendor needs this much time. The venue needs X, Y, and Z. Like, if you're only one issue, like one problem I have to solve, you're the last on my list.
And I feel like, unfortunately, that is what the DJs are, unfortunately, are known as. Like, I was working with this DJ.
We're the black sheep of our industry. And we are. And then it's funny because
they're like the last team player. Like, like this DJ was just being super annoying and super stubborn. And like, it's just such a...
Have you ever met a DJ who's super clingy? Like, can we talk about that a minute? Like, so let me explain that. A DJ who's super clingy is the one like, yo, can we dance them now? Can we do this now? Dude, I got to do this. And they get mad if they don't get their time.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why they're like that is because they did not plan with whoever's running the event.
They're trying to pick up the missing pieces.
Right. And they're like, I can't dance unless the bride and groom's in the room. I'm like, yeah, dude, you didn't know when they were going to be in the room? Like, you like... Oh my God, we're only got 40 minutes of dancing this entire party? I'm like, that's because you didn't effectively communicate with your bride and your groom or any other vendors that were working that event. And also, that's another cop-out. And I'm going to just say this. I'm probably going to get... Oh, God, how do I say it? I'm probably going to get slack for what I'm about to say right now.
Say it.
If you are a DJ who needs the bride and groom to be in the room to rock a party, you're most likely not a great DJ. Now, I'm not saying the bride and groom shouldn't be in the room to enjoy their party. I'm not saying that. I don't even like starting certain dance sets unless the bride and groom are in the room.
Out of respect for them.
Correct. Right. However, sitting there playing background music because they're taking outdoor pictures when you have about 120 other guests to 150 other guests sitting there drinking, dining, and like waiting for something to happen, you are now ruining the experience for the guests. And what's going to make the bride and groom even more unhappy that the guests are going to report, dude, we barely danced.
Yeah.
That's going to be worse.
Yep.
So if you're going to have vendors that are going to pull your bride and groom away from you, my suggestion is consult with the bride and groom ahead of time and say, guys, I have to get your guests dancing. They can't be sitting down this entire time. They're going to get rooted to their seats.
Yep.
Can I open up a dance set while you guys are doing this?
Yep.
If they give you the thumbs up, you do it.
Yep.
If they give you the thumbs down, I'm willing to bet this. They're going to fight not to leave the room.
Or, additionally, too, to piggyback onto that, to also mitigate that issue from happening of not having your bride and groom present during a dance set or this or that and the other, do your homework beforehand. Plan beforehand. Discuss. Send a timeline out that you've created that's ideal for you as the entertainer for the bride and groom and the guests. Send it to the photographer and videographer. Ask them, both photographers specifically, hey, when do you plan on doing sunset shots? Oh, well, obviously around this time because that's when the sun's going to set. But speak with them beforehand. Do extra work. Be proactive. And you can, again, one, I think that'll be a huge, huge benefit to everybody included, because the last thing, I think sunset shots are amazing. And I think the bride and groom want that. That's why they're going outside to do it.
There's so many ways to do sunset shots without ruining the experience.
Ruining. People think, oh, just don't take them out. Don't do those shots. Those are useless. No, I think you're a photographer. You have to do your job. And that is going to really, really enhance your job.
I side with any videographer and photographer that actually knows how to do the setup prior to that and then execute it within a 10 to 15 minute window.
Yeah.
Like if they know exactly where they're shooting, how they're shooting, and how they have a secondary shooter that's already planning this out and scheduling it, those are the photographers I like to work with. Why? They value what I do just as much as I value what they do. And when we work together, we create a much better experience for our couples.
Yeah.
It's the photographers that don't communicate with me that I want to throw off a ledge.
Yeah.
I do not care if you're going to take them outside.
Not at all.
Inform me. Mm-hmm. Don't inform me the day of the party.
No.
Don't inform me, like 5 minutes before you're going to do it. Or, oh, yeah, by the way, they want to take these sunshots. I need 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I'm like, dude,
that's not
20 minutes is a lifetime.
No.
That's a third of an hour.
Yep.
That's a third of an hour. And most dance sets for us in the New York, New Jersey area are anywhere between 20 to 40 minutes. So that means you're telling me you're going to take them away for a whole dance set.
Yeah.
That is crazy, dude. Crazy. That's like me telling you, don't eat because we need these photos right now. Like, bro, come on.
That's why I think it's great for a bride and groom to also know this too when you're looking at and speaking to other vendors. If the other vendor knows the other vendor, I love Mark. He's amazing.
So well with him.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. That means okay, they have a system, because I think what's most important when you have different moving parts, they've never worked with each other. You're figuring each other out and your own systems that work best for you on the day of the wedding, which is not the most ideal spot to actually work on.
It also causes,
the event.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but it also causes the bride and groom to feel like they're running around.
Yeah.
If a bride and groom are constantly being pulled left and right to do X, Y, and Z, they cannot enjoy their wedding.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it what it is. Unfortunately, my buddy Kenny felt that way. He felt like he kept getting pulled left and right because he couldn't really eat. He had to be there with the photographer. He had to do this. He had to do that. He had to do the speeches. And then I finally went up to him. And I went up to him and I go, yo, what do you need to drink? And he goes, bro, I said hello to like 200 people.
Get me a double.
He was like, you're the first person to actually ask me like what I want to drink, meaning guest wise.
Yeah.
And then he's like, dude, I know you know like do this for a living, but like nobody thought of that. I'm like, it's like, dude, this is what people don't know. They don't understand what it's like to be a bride or groom unless they're a bride or groom or they work in the industry.
You're
and
right.
then the event coordinators are the ones like, oh, you need a refill or you need that or you need that. Dude, I'm telling you, there's so many hats to be worn in what we do that if you're a true and consummate professional, you know to look out for the bride and groom's best interests, not just to execute formalities and things of that, but also for them to enjoy themselves. You gotta let them eat. You gotta let them drink.
Yeah.
You gotta let them say hello and enjoy their time with their family and friends. If you don't do that, it's a waste. It's a waste. Which I think,
you're right.
Which is another thing. I also think a lot of older trends or a lot of older formalities are being completely negated because brides and grooms don't see the value in doing it because they just feel like their time is being wasted by doing that.
So that is something I want to talk about in
me
a second.
too.
But one thing I want to say too is I've actually offset a dance set because I said, look, John, they're enjoying the photo booth. They haven't enjoyed the photo booth once this entire party. We were supposed to dance them. Let them enjoy. Right? You see the smiles on their faces? That's what's most important. The smiles on your faces. If I'm seeing that, I'll ride that wave. I'm good. We can work the timeline around.
There are times and places in order for us to step in and step out. Knowing when to do that is important.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the trends of weddings that are completely going out of style.
Yes.
And I'll start in reverse what I think are the ones that are the main one. The first one I'm starting to see are really getting out of style are wedding party introductions.
Yep.
Bridal party intros.
Okay.
My buddy Kenny just didn't do it. He had a whole bridal party. They did not do introductions. It was just him, his wife, and their child.
Okay.
They were the only ones introduced in the room. And I think one of the main reasons why there's quite a few reasons. But one of the main reasons why is because nobody wants to do it because it wastes 5 to 10 minutes of the reception. Another reason why people don't want bridal parties because they're getting weird about who's going to be part of it. And then they don't want to highlight certain individuals because they don't want to have that conversation like, oh, you're my wedding party. Okay. I would like to ask anybody who's watching this, how many of you are weird about putting people in your bridal party because you're either want to offend somebody or you feel obligated to put them in? So you're just trying to forget it. No wedding party at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm asking couples, now that you mention it, do you have a wedding party? As opposed to, okay, give me the rundown. Who's in the wedding party? Because I don't know now. Or it's very small. It's like, or it's just a best man and a maid of honor or a matron of honor.
But then on the other side of that fence, it's because if they don't want to upset anybody, now you have a gigantic wedding party.
Yep.
Now you have 20 people, 10 couples or a total of 20 individuals coming in. And then you're like, what do we do with this?
Now we call it 2 by 2 and it's people are like, and it's just Sally and Alex, Jennifer and Anthony, Vinny and Josephine. Who are these people? And it gets into, well, why are we having this? It seems like a waste of time. And I think, like you said, people don't see the value in it. So either you scrap it or you make it fun for your guests.
So
you make the introductions fun.
Here's an idea. If you have a very big wedding party that you don't want it to be monotonous, you got to come up with something that's interesting and unique that majority of the people at your wedding don't do. So here's a couple of ideas that you could do if you have a gigantic wedding party for introductions. The first one is a introductions competition. So what you do is you give your bridal party an incentive that the winning couple gets like $200 gift cards, like $100 each, like a Visa gift card, and the best dancer or the best costume or whatever else wins. So we did that at one wedding, and let me tell you something, it was hysterical. We had people come in with inflatable dinosaurs costumes. We had people coming with confetti poppers. We had people coming in as Pokemon. Like, it was hysterical. And it was so unique at that time that nobody else did it. So if you have a large wedding party and you want to entertain your guests while you're taking 10 minutes to get them into the room, I highly suggest adding that little feature there.
Because I'd watch that. I think we're just so tired of going to weddings and seeing the same old thing happening after every single wedding, especially if you've been attending a lot of them. It's no longer unique. And
you kind of like roll your eyes.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we have intros now. And then the guy goes, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And it's just corny, drawn out. It's monotonous. People, when they want to be entertained, they want something novel. Another thing you could do is personalized introductions. You can actually learn as the MC, as the entertainer, ask your couples, hey, or your couples tell the MC, hey, I want you to say something funny, something interesting, or even something like embarrassing about them. Like, this is a joke. If that's your relationship, roast them. Roast your wedding party. I think that's hilarious if your MC can do that. What that does, it keeps people engaged. They're now listening. They can't wait to hear what you have to say next about this couple. And now you've identified as a guest, as just a regular guest, a cousin, a friend, why they are in the wedding party, who they are to the bride and groom.
Give them an actual identity to everybody else.
Humanize them, invite them into you as the bride and groom.
You're the guy who drives the Tesla? Yeah. You're the guy? You're the one who likes sushi with ranch dressing, like you're that person. Like, it's okay to do that because believe it or not, that actually allows the rest of your guests to get to know that person.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to understand how this day came about and who are the people that are, most important to you and why they're in your wedding party. So do something like that. It'll make it more entertaining as opposed to just calling names. As a matter of fact, your entertainers prefer that. We don't want to just call out names. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just calling out duos here, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to say it now. I'm like, this is getting weird. Let me say something about them.
But also you're thinking as if you're just reading out names, now you're also against the clock. You're feeling as if, like, I got to get these people in. It's wasting time.
Come on, exactly.
Like, I got kitchen coming out at 8:45.
Exactly.
And we're already at 8:30, and I got 10 more names to go through.
Exactly.
So now you're like, oh, I'm racing against the clock. I don't want to get... It's a bad overall decision. So if you have a big wedding party, you got to do something that's going to be entertaining, that's going to make it last, or you're going to have to shorten it, which is the last way to do it, which is a rising trend that we're seeing, which is having the wedding party all coming in together, or all the groomsmen and the bridesmaids coming in together. So my only thing with that is if you're going to do a train style introduction, meaning all the bridesmaids come in at once and all the groomsmen come in together, make it as if like they have to do a routine with it. Like, especially like girls, if they have like a cheer type of routine deal, have them walk into a song and they're like doing almost like a routine to it. For the guys, I always say like, yo, imagine you guys are running out of the tunnel at a sports facility. You could do something like that.
Like the football tunnel.
Exactly. You got to get creative, guys. Don't fall short of the monotonous formalities that you could actually spice up and change the entire dynamic of how your wedding starts. I'm telling you, that is more of a game changer than overthinking certain trends and then trying to like, let's do that.
Or just scrap it because I've seen it done poorly. I think it's also on the part of the entertainer to offer these ideas. I think it's our job to always be on top of trends and what's hot, what's not, and how can we. Yeah, truly. I think we need to put a lot more creative work into recommending and to a lot of creative work into these formalities to get our couples excited. I think the couples should be excited when they're talking with you, like throughout the entire process. Oh my God, this guy offers amazing ideas. Every time I have a problem, he has something not only new or interesting or something that's going to work, but it's fresh. I've never seen this done before.
Right. Just like what photographers do with new shots. Like, oh my God, we should try this or try that. Like photographers have the eye of being creative. As entertainers, we understand the portrait we're trying to paint or the image we're trying to capture when we're thinking about handling these formalities. So if you want to get creative and you want to not recreate or reinvent, but enhance the experience, you have to be the one to give the bride and groom the idea. Let them play with it.
Correct. Okay. I agree.
I also want to talk about things that I am so tired of seeing at weddings. If you are giving a speech at a wedding, please, for the love of God, do not start with the phrase, for those of you who don't know me. Look at me. Look here. Focus on me. Don't make me throw a microphone at you.
Look at him.
Look at me. I'm this close. People, if I hear, for those of you who don't know me, one more time, they'll get to know you. Oh, they'll get to know you all right. Trust me.
Yeah, John's packing up. He's walking out.
No, all right, but
I'm just kidding. He's not walking out.
But you know what it is? I know why people do it. Number one, it's because it was a phrase that was like, okay, most people in here don't know who I am, so let me introduce myself. You could say that. Hey, guys, I'm John. I'm Patrick's best friend.
Ayo, it's Patrick.
Known this guy since he was
John's
like
not my
13, you know, when he had braces and curled his hair.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's okay to just say that. Or, hey, guys, let me introduce myself.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
For those of you
who don't know me.
Oh, my guys.
For those who don't know me.
And I think I'm speaking for all vendors who listen to this. We are tired of it.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's us. But for the sake of
It's our
our
problem.
well-being, can you please stop?
Yeah.
For the love of God,
Yeah.
please say something different. Please.
Okay.
All right.
So, best man, maid of honor speeches. Stuff that you can't stand.
Oh, the
when you
cringy
hear.
stuff.
The cringy stuff.
Oh, the cringy stuff. All right.
I think, well, one of mine is best men or maids of honor. Do not have this in your speech. So I decided to look up the word on Webster. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines love as, nope, we're going to cut that out. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Come again. Okay, next. Okay, go,
Okay,
John.
so people always ask me, what does it take to give like a really great speech? The first thing I'm going to tell you is to be heartfelt. It does not have to be over the top.
Right.
People make this mistake that, I have to make it funny. I have to do this. I have to mention that. 9 times out of 10, if it's a disingenuous speech, it's very clear. Don't try to go online and say one size fits all on this essay. I'm just going to plug and play concepts. No, it's
Yep.
it's dumb. It's not.
Correct.
It's not going to hit. It's not going to do well. Okay. Number 2, for the men specifically, guys, I know how badly we want to like roast our friends, especially on their wedding day, because it's like the best opportunity for us to kind of embarrass them slightly with their family and friends, and now their new spouse.
Right.
Guys, don't mention your best friend's sexual escapades in front of his wife on his wedding day.
Nope.
Don't talk about the time that a girl like threw a drink on him, or don't talk about
She was on to him.
don't talk about the bachelor party and hint the idea he did something stupid.
Yep.
I swear every
It's so
time,
embarrassing. Oh.
every time I hear it, I want to turn the mic off.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know that if I'm doing that, I'm making it blatantly obvious how uncomfortable it is. But then you go look at the bride, and they're like,
She's pissed.
mortified.
Yeah. Because it's in. You know why? I think if you were together, you're like, oh, he did this once, and some couples are like, okay, whatever, that was your past. This is mom's there, grandma's there.
I mean, okay.
Okay.
If you do want to, so if you want to roast, grandpa,
Nonna.
if you want to roast the bride or the groom,
Correct.
you have to target the things that everybody knows about them.
Yep.
And you got to be slighted on it, right? You gotta make it a pun on it.
Yep.
Like, for example, everybody knows he's a neat freak, or
Right, right,
hey, by the way, folks, make sure you pick up all of your glassware, otherwise Janine's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do something that everybody knows about them that's
good, John.
going to
Damn.
make them laugh because it's obvious.
Yep.
Okay, and you can make a little fun joke about that.
Yep.
All right.
I think what was amazing. So what was amazing was Joey DiSerrano. Joey,
Oh my God.
your best man. His speech. I wasn't there, but I saw the video. That's awesome. Oh my God, that was amazing.
For those of you guys
Tell
who don't
him.
know, for those of you who don't know, I got married a couple of years ago. My best friend is also a DJ. We're gonna actually have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
So he's been waiting. At that time, it was like 12 years for this moment, and we had always made it a competition, like who's gonna have to be the best man, best man speech. So he comes in to Undertaker music Okay, like we're talking about organ music. He made the whole room red, and he walked in with a Pope costume. And then he proceeded to give a eulogy. Now that I'm married, that my time with hanging out with the guys is now over.
His time with being the boys. He's not. Is it?
And I still have, out here in the office, I still have the cutout.
Wait, you have it in the office?
Yeah, it has rest in peace on it. Oh, God, you're going to get it. Oh, God. Yeah, let's show it on this camera here.
Wait, is it?
It's, I don't know where it is. It's somewhere over here, though. Yeah, next episode we'll show it.
Next episode's going to be right here.
Yeah, we'll definitely show it.
Shout out to Joey D.
Yeah, lower your mic a little bit because it's probably going to autofocus you. So, like, move it out of the way. That's good. So getting back to, now you can probably put it up. Getting back to what we were saying. That mic is just, like, not cooperating. Don't turn to the table.
Whoa.
Getting back to the idea of a best man speech, you have to make sure that if you're speaking from the heart, it's usually the better bet. And it's okay to say, like, listen, we all know that I'm better at sports, or I'm better at this, or I'm the best man, or whatever you want to say. That is more classier than to go after somebody's previous relationships or tanks with girls or whatever they may be, because it's low class. It's not good. And the bride's not going to like it, and you're going to put a target on your back for the remainder of your relationship and their relationship, and you don't want to do that. So please, for the love of God, don't do that. And females, same thing. Like, never talk about, like, oh, she dated around in high school.
She was around.
She was in a sorority in college, and
fun.
She got around. Like,
she was a liberal arts major.
Nobody.
She didn't study a lot.
Nobody wants to hear that. It's a bad look.
I agree. It's classy.
Why don't you talk about a Garter bouquet? Because I'm tired of talking about it.
So I smile. I get excited when the couple goes, oh, we're not doing Garter bouquet. It's just really awkward. It's a really awkward formality because it's become a striptease. It's become the guy going into the girl, and like I said, grandma's there. Again, grandma's there. That's what I think about. I think about my nonna being
also
there.
Because I think a lot of people going to weddings now are in a pretty serious relationship, are engaged, or are already married.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay. So I'm talking about when the garter has been collected already, and the bouquet has been collected already. And actually, no, I'm talking about the opposite. I'm talking about when the groom has to remove the garter from the bride's leg. I don't like that. It comes a striptease, comes a lap dance, play pony in the background. Like I said, that's not my style. If that's yours, blessings to you. I'm not the right entertainer for you then, because I really don't want to facilitate a type of formality like that.
Well, you're going to facilitate something that you have to explain to the couple that unless you have a very energetic crowd that enjoys that type of entertainment,
correct,
or is just wild and crazy,
correct,
then it's not smart.
Correct.
It's not we have to pull from these people to come up.
Correct.
And when we have to pull from people, then they're like, do I really want to reach and grab it?
Correct.
That's stupid.
I think some crowds I've been like, oh, this crowd would love. Like, honestly, I'm thinking about one client specifically, one person, Magda. I did like a 38th birthday party. Shout out to Magda. I did a 48th birthday party. Oop, I just aged him. Sorry. For her husband Roman. They were a sick crowd. I had so much fun with them. And that crowd, I would love to do a Garter bouquet in that fashion with them. Why? Because
they're psychos.
Exactly, they're psychos. I love psychos.
In all the good ways.
I'm a psycho too. But when it's a crowd that wants to do that and everyone else is not with it, it's really awkward. And then it's a lot tougher for the MC to kind of build up that energy again and get people, back into the flow of things. So I don't like the Garter bouquet toss. I also agree that, when you say, hey, all my single ladies come out into the dance floor, single ladies don't come out onto the dance floor. We're not, it's a different time. And I believe that if you still want to do those formalities, you still can. You just have to readjust. For instance, hey, everybody come out, grab a bouquet. Or if you don't even want to do the bouquet and garter toss, during a dance set, just have for a great because I think it makes a great photo op, have your bride and or groom hold the bouquet together, or just the bride if you want to get that moment, bride. And then have your dance, while the dance set's going on, she's right in front of the DJ booth. Your crowd's behind you. On the count of 3, throw the bouquet in the air. Someone catches it. It's fun.
Yeah, launch it into the crowd.
That's it. Launch it into the crowd. Done. So I don't like the Garter bouquet for that reason. I love when couples say, "Nah, we're not going to do that," because if you are going to do that, I think make it classy, make it appropriate, make it meaningful. You just have to have meaning to it. That's my.
Last thing that I'm starting to see that people are getting away from is the traditional cake cutting. So I see more and more couples saying, "Oh, we don't want to stop the party to cut our cake. We'd rather do it in private or off to the side." You actually disagree.
They should do the cake cutting.
Why?
There's meaning behind it. So, like, again, I think in the and if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear why. Because in a lot of the trainings that I've done, shout out to Marbecca Workshops for it's trainings that you go to learn what an MC is supposed to do, and they teach you about the behind the scenes or the meaning behind a cake cutting ceremony. And when you articulate to people what each moment of the cake cutting ceremony represents, like cutting the cake together, holding the knife with two hands, or holding the knife together, or
bring it back down. Good.
Holding the knife together, or little moments like that, people are actually engaged. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was why the cake cutting ceremony came about." So that's one reason. If you provide meaning and you actually educate people on what this ceremony is about, people, in my opinion, actually gravitate and listen to you. If you're interesting and you're interested,
that makes sense. I think the reason why I'm seeing more and more people say no to it is because they feel as if it's just going to interrupt the flow of the party.
I still disagree. I think that after dinner, you've had a 30, 45-minute dance set, sit them down, let them have cake, let them have dessert, bring them back up again.
Yeah, kind of like that energy refiller that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I'm not into marathon dance sets. I've done them before.
I can be, but it's got to be, as a DJ, I'm telling you that if you're going to do a marathon dance set, that has to be properly communicated to the DJ beforehand so they can kind of plan out a set and where they want to take the set to. I think a lot of DJs are too lackluster or lackadaisical, whatever word you want to use, when it comes to preparing sets. Guys, look, it's okay to prepare sets ahead of time, especially from a request list, especially if you kind of want to get to know the clients, especially if you want to make sure you hit on all cylinders for the people in attendance. Because I know too many guys, some of my closest friends that are DJs, they think off the top of the dome. And there's nothing wrong with that either.
Serato face.
Right, they do Serato face, but also what happens if you can't get them based off like what you're thinking in the top of your head. So now there's a disconnect of like, oh, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And now you're in a slump. And now you have to go back to the resetting where like slow dance, sit them down, whatever. But if you were to tell me ahead of time, all right, we're going to get all this out of the way and you're going to have an hour and a half dance set for the last end of the night, just keep them dancing during dessert. Okay, now I can game plan that dance set. I could say, let's start slow and build up the energy. Or let's start with sing-alongs, get people in circles, do all that, bring up the energy. Mm-hmm. That's where people fall short, is that they try to hit them with haymakers, and then they got nothing to throw. They gas themselves out, and now they got nothing to play at the end of the night. Okay. So then people are going to leave early because they're like, either they're too tired, they blew their load, or they're going to be like, dude, there's nothing left to play, right? Like I don't want to hear anything else. I'm done, right? So to me, it's all about understanding how you want the flow of the night to go and then executing it based on the expectation of that.
Okay. Yeah, I still think that the cake cutting ceremony is such a beautiful moment to share and have your guests be a part of and witness if you have an entertainer that's also passionate about what's happening. I think
I agree with you there.
If you can make cake cutting so enjoyable to listen to and watch and be like, whoa, this is their first time. Like, why are they doing this? If you're just cutting cake, that's dumb. But there's more dimension to it, to every single formality.
You have to make it, okay. I think I know where the conversation is leading.
You know where it goes.
You know why it's important.
Correct.
The guests don't. They don't. Okay, so you want to explain that they need to know this. The first way you do that is you have to communicate that with the bride and groom, and they got to be understanding and they got to be accepting of that.
Correct.
Lastly is, how are you going to explain that to people in attendance where they care? Right? That's the hard part.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
Here's how I do it when I decide it. I tell people, hey guys, this time next year they're going to be doing it all over again and every anniversary after that. This is the first chance they get to do it. How about a big round of applause for our bride and groom?
Yep.
you have to tie an emotional standpoint to that.
Yep.
They're like, okay, this is the first time as a husband and wife that they're going to cut cake and feed each other.
Yep.
This is the first anniversary. Like, this is the first time. Now it's a holiday for them.
Yep.
Now it's something major for them.
Yep.
Or, hey, folks, how many of you are married in here? Raise your hand. You guys remember when you cut the first slice of your cake? Mm-hmm. How many times have you done that every time? Yeah. Every anniversary?
That's an iconic historical moment
in their lives.
Yeah.
So,
correct.
So if you can translate that to the guests like that, there you go. Now you got them. Now you're like, cool. One of the things I used to do, I don't do it as much anymore, is like tell the history of what it means to cut the cake. And the reason why is because nobody cares. Yeah. How many of your friends liked history class?
I love history.
I love history.
I love history. But I hear you. I think when you say, guys, this ceremony dates back to the Middle Ages and we're still doing that now, some people are like, oh, really? Yeah. You hear Middle Ages at a wedding, you're like, wait, what? I think it's more of a shock value. Like, oh, shoot. Damn, this guy knows his stuff.
But I'm willing to put money on and say if I spoke directly to the crowd, I'd be like, hey guys, how many of you are married in here? Do you guys remember cutting the first slice of your wedding cake?
That's gonna resonate more.
Right?
110%.
You guys remember that? Now imagine this was you however many years ago. This is their first opportunity to do that.
I like that better.
I think they deserve our attention and they deserve a round of applause because today they celebrate their love. We celebrate their love. And right now they're about to do a tradition that tails hundreds of years.
And then you could tie it in.
And then you could tie it in. Yep. But it's all about the translation of why it's important for everybody to pay attention. If you don't do that,
you've lost.
You fail.
And that's when people go back saying, I don't need to do a cake cutting ceremony because they haven't seen it done right.
Exactly.
Bingo.
Also, trends from like TikTok, Reels. Trends from TikTok and Reels could actually ruin your wedding.
Okay.
What I mean by this is
trends?
If you're watching a trend on TikTok and that trend is happening in 2024 right now, and you're getting married in 2026, hate to break it to you, it's most likely going to be played out by then.
Oh, yeah. Mannequin challenge.
So the only way that works is if it's so close to your wedding that it's still fresh in everybody's brain where they haven't seen it before. But if you've done it for 2 years, it's dumb.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
I agree.
Like, maybe I'm a hater. Can we get rid of the flower security? Can we stop it?
Oh, with and the ring berries guy. He's like, it's
all the older dudes like throwing flowers to like, you know.
Oh, I'm talking about flower girl and ring bearer having like kind of like security type.
No, I mean that's cute. That's another trend I would steer away from now.
Yeah, it's always I just see it every time. But you're right.
I'm
you're
talking
right,
about like, hey, let's get the most hairiest guy in the wedding party.
Right.
Put on a little fanny pack with some like, pedals and let's watch him spin around down the aisle. Like, come on, dude. Like it's old. It's getting old. It's not even that funny anymore.
You bench 250. You don't have to be throwing these flower petals on the. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I can't be the only one to think this way.
I agree. Or, people, because like, I've seen that happen before. I want to do that. Yeah, that means that.
Bro, it was cool 2 years ago. That's like.
You're right.
To me, just like get over it. So if you're looking at trends that are like really being seen on TikTok or Reels or YouTube Shorts, you're most likely already behind the 8 ball.
Correct.
All right, so just be mindful of that, please.
Correct.
I want to actually do, like last time we did some fun stuff where we were like, oh, let's look at.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen these.
I want to definitely.
Oh, can I go on your notes app from this, John?
Say again?
Can I go on your notes app from this?
I'm not sure, actually.
Because I don't want to, mess up the recording. Can you pass me your iPad, Johnny boy?
Here you go, sir.
Daddy Divine.
Oh.
Well, he's a dad. That's why, not the other.
Sure,
not the other.
So let's actually. I want to. Let's see. That's fine. Yep. Okay. I want to actually watch some really funny videos and like us react to some videos on TikTok that I saw a while back. So these are things that you should not do at your wedding or attempt to avoid at your wedding. We're going to watch this for the first time. I mean, I've seen this, but I want to see Patrick's reactions for half of these. So let's just kind of like dive in and see what we got here. Here's the first one.
I accidentally
I've seen this one.
wine stealth dress.
Oh. No.
Sorry. I can fix that. No, I can fix it, Mum. I can fix it. Just don't watch it, really. It's gonna be, Mum. It's gonna be.
Gotcha.
A magic show. Really?
Yeah, that's a little.
Really? What's next? A parrot's gonna fly from underneath her dress?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eight-piece
I
animal
think-
marching band. Come on.
Come on, that thing's stupid. This one, ladies, just think of this before you buy your dress, okay? Just think of this.
Shoot.
Watch this, ready? Nice handshake. Oh! On the veil. Oh, let's watch it again. Replay. Here it comes. On the Ooh, yep. Slipped right on the veil. Could you imagine how embarrassing that's got to be?
So there's no big deal of that happening on a casual day when it's on your wedding. It's like, we have that moment. That's why every little mess up is so grandiose. It's so magnified because it's your wedding. You can't redo that. And that's always a moment. Let's make it fun, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you that a lot of the times if you're going to be like...
That was insane.
Well, grandiose problems like that are a rare occurrence. Let's be honest.
Of course.
The likelihood of this going to happen at your wedding is so slim to none.
Just funny.
Right? But just be aware, if you have a very long veil, don't have the bride stand on one side and then the father's got to crisscross. Bad idea. Okay?
Nope.
This one was like, this can't be more bad luck. And this is also a warning for people who are getting married outside on a hot summer day.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
hold on.
promise to cherish you.
What did she do? What's she doing?
It's in your dress.
The
It's
bug.
a hornet.
Oh, my God.
A hornet in the dress, dude.
Oh, that poor girl. I'm telling you right now, she's taking it well. She's taking it very well.
Breathe.
Yep, she's good. My mom,
Dude, look at the groom.
the women,
Full hand and everything. First off,
That's badass.
shout out to the groom
that's badass.
for being a man.
That's
and,
badass.
And literally gripping it.
Aaron,
That's
I don't know if
vows
I,
to remember,
Aaron,
that's
I don't
right.
know if I could grab the hornet.
No, yeah, I'll tell you what.
Listen, I'm gonna do it, baby. I'm gonna do it. But
This one
that's insane.
is going out to, I'll tell you right now.
This has 64 million views, John.
This one is the one that if I saw this live, you will have to forgive me because I probably will not be able to continue with the introductions. I will laugh so hard. So just watch what happens. Look at this, ready? Oh my god. Oh my god.
The recoil. Oh, that's good.
Just watch it again. Look. Boom. Right off the door.
Oh my god, that's so
Off the
funny.
door, dude.
The comments are amazing. Oh, the guy was
Bro.
Your career opens many doors in life. The door.
mean, oh my god. The poor guy was literally trying so hard. But my question is, what was causing the door not to open like that? Because he ripped it off the hinge, bro.
I love the ease of the other guy opening the door too.
Oh my god.
It's the door.
Oh
It's
my
the door's
God.
fault. It's not the guy.
That was hysterical.
That's funny. I wasn't expecting that at all.
That was hysterical. Now, this next one.
Yeah. What is going on?
This one, listen, guys. We all like to have a good time.
Hey,
Don't-
get rough
don't-
and rowdy.
Don't do this. Just don't do this. This is, when I saw this, I actually couldn't believe it. And then I was like, no, that couldn't have been them. But watch what happens. Here we go.
This February wedding in Florida went from this to this.
We're just at the wedding. Me and my girlfriend were talking, and I feel like there's some kind of drugs in me or something,
Drugs.
and I don't know what's happening.
New police body camera video
Here we go.
obtained by Top Story showing a guest being wheeled out of the event on a stretcher.
We all have been affected somehow by what was put in the food.
The
Can you
Seminole
imagine?
County Sheriff's Department now saying the bride, Danya Glenny, was behind it. Police confronted
She
her
put
and the groom
marijuana
that
in the
night.
food.
Bride and groom?
Yes.
You're bride and groom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Apparently, supposedly, your food
There's
has
cannabis inside of it.
when your guests eat it.
Imagine.
Did you guys authorize that?
And the bride is in this corner just laughing.
I just need a yes or no, man. Did you guys authorize
That's
it?
not funny.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm 420 friendly.
In the food,
That ain't
vegetables,
funny.
Whatever the case may be.
No, sir.
Okay.
So they literally
I just need
spiked.
both
Okay,
of your
you're both under
IDs.
arrest.
Yeah.
On your
Bride
wedding
is
day.
now facing felony charges for
That is
allegedly
insane.
lacing
Don't drop the
food
soap.
at
That is
wedding with
insane,
marijuana.
dude. Like again, you know, let's be honest. We've actually worked weddings since the legalization of marijuana. We've been to parties where they have gummies as giveaways.
Yep.
Right. Not weddings in particular.
Right. Corporate events I've seen,
Right,
or
like
even they even have like the THC bars where they infuse
Yeah.
THC into like it's really cool stuff.
But dude, for real.
Without consent, that's not cool. That's not cool.
Crazy.
Nope.
And what's even worse is that these poor people are like completely flabbergasted. They didn't know.
They didn't know what was
didn't know.
happening to them. I've listened.
Imagine
Some
you
people
do
have
that.
bad highs knowing they're high.
Dude, imagine.
Imagine having a
But
bad high not
imagine
knowing you're high.
Just imagine you go to a wedding, you're cool, calm, and copacetic, and then all of a sudden you got to call 911 because you're tripping out.
Because you think you're having a heart attack.
Bro,
Because people, they feel heart palpitations when they're having like serious effects
that's
from.
insane to me.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That was nuts. So
That's nuts.
those are like some of
Oh,
my
we could
favorite
have a
ones.
whole topic on how we think THC is going to affect parties. That would be sick to
Oh,
do.
well, there's, I mean, yeah, maybe we'll do that in the next
Oh,
podcast.
no, we can't do that now.
But
People gotta go to bed now.
so this was fun. I think we got enough going out, and we have more people coming on in the podcast. We have quite a few names coming. We're going to be releasing very soon. If you guys found this somewhat interesting and like fun and energetic, we encourage you to please subscribe, follow us. Make sure you guys follow us at Alive Events ENT on both TikTok and Instagram.
Yep.
And if you'd like to be so kind, you can follow him at
Patrick_Soldi. That's on Instagram.
and I am at official Jon Divine. Thanks so much, guys. This has been Conversations. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Later.